Okay, can you guys hear me now? So, uh, I know I said that the streaming schedule would go back to normal this week, but the reason that I'm streaming tonight instead of tomorrow, which I usually stream on Sundays, is because I was supposed to hang out with my friend on, Tuesday, but unfortunately, his workplace got all messed up, and so the only day I was able to actually hang out with him was tomorrow, and so I ended up changing the stream to today. But next week it's going to be going. Everything's going to be going back to Fridays Red Dead and Sundays GTA. But let me see here. Okay, here we go. I'm also gonna have the next part of Black Ops 2 tomorrow, guys. How's my luck in Vegas? It was actually pretty good. Well, the one thing I didn't have luck in was when it rained on the second day of the Fallout event. That sucked, but I won $140 in the casinos in Vegas, and at that point I stopped playing. So it was that was enough for me. $143 to be exact, but yeah, I heard the Black Ops 7 campaign sucked. I'm gonna still play it though. Same casino or different? We went to the same casino because we were familiar with the. We didn't stay at the Oyo, but we did play at the Oyo's casino because we were still familiar with the layout to it, and that was that was that. How do you feel about the mansions coming? Thank you, Jeremiah, for the super chat. I'm looking forward to them, but what I'm really scared about is I'm really scared about the mansions becoming boring. I still have to put that poll up. I never put up that poll yesterday, so I just forgot about that. But hold on, let's see. Iron Mule, spawn this here. Hey, professional, my soon wait, what are you asking me? Thank you, real for the super chat there. And thank you, Jonathan Perez. Thank you. Do you like cheese deluxe or pork bun? Cheese deluxe? Yeah, I thought that comment was a troll. Yeah, I'm gonna do a rant probably on Black Ops 7.
Hey, boss. Ever since we took over hands on him.
Okay. Hang on, my friend needed me to pick him up with this because he was stuck in the canyon. Don't you get tired of GTA and Red Dead? It's getting a bit stale, but I'm still enjoying doing the streams. Is it just one mansion or multiple? It looks like it's gonna be multiple. Thank you, Whilst Money, for the super chat. When I think I'll stop playing GTA Online when GTA 6 comes out. There will be 3 mansions, but can you own all 3? That's the question. Hey, done with my job. I got very tired from it. What do you mean? You finished for the day, or do you mean you quit? Thank you, Cube, for the super chat. It's okay, Far. You don't have to apologize. Hey, Hamzad. Was it bad for Poland to occupy West Belarus and Ukraine before World War II? Did you think that the Soviets liberated the parts, or not? A lot of the areas that Poland occupied, for example, it was during the Polish-Soviet War. Poland got it, like, Lvov, if I'm pronouncing that city's name correctly. Like, the population was, like, 90% Polish in what, it was, like, 1920 when it happened. And then the Soviets had, annexed that region from Poland right after the, right when World War II ended. And then they shifted Poland's borders to the west. Glad you made it, back safe, buddy. Thank you, Christine Wyatt. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, okay. Okay, my friend was stuck here, so get him out of here. Hey, Pro, hope you're well. Always loved your videos. Bit of a random one, but I'm into cars. How's your BMW 3 Series going? Do you have it serviced? I actually don't drive my car a lot. I only drive the car like 2 times a month, and that's to basically, just get gas and groceries. That's about it. So I don't really drive it that much. Thank you, Thomas Walsh. Yeah, my car is doing okay. There was one part, they told me that I have to change the tires, the back tires in the car, because they're worn. That's what they told me. But, how do you get around then? I don't. I really don't go anywhere. So that's the thing is, I don't really go anywhere. So all I do is I just get groceries and gas. I don't drive anywhere else. So there's nowhere else for me to drive. I really hope the mansion has a purpose and has different interiors. Thank you, Whilst Money, for the super chat. I hope so too. I hope it's not boring. What is your favorite fast food? Mine is what? Well, okay. I know you're trying to get me to read these super chats, and you're trying to get me to read dumb things, but like I always read everything in my head before I actually read it, so you're not gonna trick me with that, just letting you know. You handle your renters over the phone, then I take it. No, not at all. I handle my, whenever there's anything going on with my properties, I always handle it in person. But it's like for example, like one of my rental properties, nothing ever really goes wrong. Like, really nothing. So like one of the rental properties, it was like 8 months. There was like 8 months, nothing went wrong for 8 months. And then like after 8 months, it was the dishwasher broke. That was it. So I keep my rental properties in really good, condition. And so nothing ever really breaks and stuff like that. But we had this bad luck with the dishwasher then. But one of my rental properties is actually 5 minutes from my apartment by foot. So that's like by car would be 2 minutes. So that's basically it is yeah. I don't really drive around a lot. Anything interesting you do on Thanksgiving? Not really, just spending time with family that day. What do I think about the Valve Complete Pack? I don't know what that is, Hamzat. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut coming out to, December 5, PS5 and Xbox Series. They're gonna make English voice actors. I don't think I can really play the Yakuza games in English. I don't think I really can. I have to play those games in Japanese. I'm just so used to Kiryu speaking Japanese that I just cannot, I can't play those games in English. One day I'll play the Half-Life DLCs. I just don't know when, but I'll get around to it. There's a lot of Valve games on Steam. Oh, I didn't know about that. Do I like the Fallout show? Yes. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, let me help Fixated. He invited me first. Life is going good. Mari? Thank you. Thank you for coming by. I didn't really like any of the mayors in New York, honestly. Last thing about the mansion, I hope it's like Scarface game where we can customize the mansion. I hope so, too. I hope it's like that. Who is worse, Devin, Steve, or Fabian? Well, Devin Weston literally caused the majority of problems, so I'd say Devin. Thank you, Hamzat, for the super chat. Oh, and my helicopter spawned here. That's crazy. Okay. My day's going good. How are you, dude? What's your opinion on Pokemon scalpers or scalpers in general? It's stupid. The thing is, there is only really one form of scalping that's somewhat justified, and the only form of scalping that is justified is when people like bring goods to countries that don't have it. So like for example, if there's like a product in your country and they're not selling it, and then you go to another country and you buy it and then you bring it into your country and you sell it, that's not necessarily like a bad thing because it's not offered in your country in the first place. And so you're selling that for a profit. That's like really the only form of scalping I can think is somewhat okay. But like when we're talking about like the people that are just like buying up like PS5s and they're buying up PS5s and like preventing other people from buying it, like using up bots, and then they're just inflating the price and just selling it for like 600, $700. It's stupid. That's what I'll say about it. But I wouldn't really call the first one scalping. It's more like moving it from like one country to another of like goods that don't have it. But like when somebody's just like buying up like all the products from like a PS5 or like the Pokemon cards and all the other stuff. It's you've been in the gym. No, I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. I've just been all over the place. Have you thought about being a consultant for the police with your degree? What do you mean, like Monk in like the Monk TV show? Um, no, I probably wouldn't want to get involved in stuff like that. Probably not. No. Honestly speaking, working in the police force takes a massive toll on your mental health, and I don't want to deal with that personally. I just started working in retail. Any tips? Um, well, I will tell you this: brace for rude and nasty customers. It's gonna happen. It is. Rude and nasty customers. They're just it's just they're there. It's going to happen. There's nothing really you can do about that. And so like you can be the nicest person on the planet, but even though you're the nicest person on the planet, you will have rude and nasty people that will just show up and just they'll blame you for stuff that's totally out of your control and they'll curse you out. It's gonna happen. So I'm not trying to scare you or anything. I'm just saying eventually stuff like that's gonna happen. So just brace for it, be ready for it. You're gonna deal with some really unreasonable people. Uh, but retail is not necessarily a bad first job because you do learn people skills. Like I learned people skills in retail, learned how to talk to people quickly, and it does teach you how to multitask. At least that's a plus, I guess. But ultimately, it's not a job you want to build a career out of. You don't want to build a career out of retail. You don't want to do that. Do I know Capcom ported Resident Evil 2 to the N64? And I did not know that. Thank you, Hamzat, for the super chat. I didn't know that one. Every teen should work at a restaurant and retail job in our society will be better. Yeah. Um, and about that, guys, here's what I'll tell you. There is this uh, there's this ridiculous story that went around recently, and this story went viral. I'm gonna do a crazy current events video on it. So like either tomorrow or the next day, I'm gonna do a crazy current events on it. Uh, no, I'm not gonna be able to stream tomorrow, unfortunately, Fernando, because something came up tomorrow. So like, I was originally gonna plan GTA for tomorrow, but like, I had planned to hang out with my friend. I had planned to hang out with my friend on Monday, but then what happened was his work was messing him up, and then they scheduled him for another day, and so I didn't see my friend in a long time, and we didn't want to reschedule again, and so I just said I'm gonna do the stream one day early, and then that. But anyways, the story that I was talking about, right, guys? So get this, in Oklahoma, in Oklahoma, there was this girl that was working at a cashier at a 7-Eleven, right? And the girl that was working at a cashier at 7-Eleven, this guy comes in and tries to basically pay with a fake $100 bill. And the reason these scammers pay in like fake $100 bills is because they're hoping you give them like huge amounts of change. So they'll come into the store and they'll buy something like cheap, like a bag of potato chips or something, and then they'll hope that you give them like $98 in like change, in like real money. That's basically how that scam works. Now, the girl realized that the $100 bill was fake, and she told the customer, this is not real, this is fake. Now, the customer, the scammer, instead of leaving, the scammer just got really mad, and what he did was he started throwing things at her across the counter. And then what he did was he went around the counter, he assaulted her, hit her, and he actually grabbed her by the neck and tried to strangle her. And what happened at that point is she actually took out her gun and she shot him in the stomach. And at that point, the guy ended up surviving. The scammer ended up surviving. He got taken to the hospital. She didn't get charged with anything because in Oklahoma that's justified self-defense. But what happened is she actually got fired from her job. And 7-Eleven said that we don't support guns in the workplace, and she violated company policy by having her gun in the workplace, and so they fired this girl. So imagine that, like, you're working your job, you're not doing anything wrong, a scammer comes in and basically when his scam fails, he tries to kill you. And I would argue that when he grabbed her neck, I would argue that that was attempted murder. That is pretty much attempted murder. When you grab somebody's neck, I would argue that that's attempted murder. And so this girl just defended herself, shot the scammer, and she is being vilified by 7-Eleven, who, said that she violated company policy and they fired her. For that. That's, imagine that. You defend yourself, somebody trying to kill you, you defend yourself, and then you get fired from your job for that. So, that's how, I don't think I'm ever going to shop at 7-Eleven ever again, after just hearing about that story. But that's, what is your favorite Italian crime family in GTA? The Leone crime family. Thank you, Charlie, for the super chat. You watch Monk? Yeah, I have. I've watched every single episode of Monk. Every single episode I've seen of it. It's one of the few series that I actually finished. If Ray Pacino was still alive, would he side with Nico against Dimitri? Pacino wasn't necessarily Nico's friend. He was more of an opportunistic guy, but... What gang is the toughest gang in the GTA series? The Leone crime family. I think they are the toughest gang in the whole GTA series. Hey, I got a story to tell. Want to hear it or no? Sure. What's your story, Cube? Thank you for the super chat. This is not mine, helicopter, so, okay. Oh, what the... Well, it wasn't the manager of 7-Eleven that fired that girl. It was actually the company. So it was the company that... The manager didn't do anything. It was the company that fired that girl. Well, yeah, St. Mark's is shotgun hell. It is. Well, because I won't be able to stream tomorrow, so that's why I stream today. Oh, thank you, Cube, for the super chat. $20 super chat from Cube. My parents rented out our old house to a woman who rarely paid rent and always blamed COVID layouts. After months of excuses, they cut utilities. When she left, the house was so filthy that my uncle threw up from the stench. Oh my god. Your parents can actually probably take her to court for that. They probably could take her to court for that. They're trashing the house. Make sure you document everything. Like, the first... Here's the thing is... When your tenants move out, right? Before you even open the door, just start recording. Start recording and just show, I'm opening the door, I'm opening it for the first time, and just show exactly what the property looks like. It's also important to take pictures of a property before a tenant moves in, just so you have documented proof of what the property looked like before. And you could probably take them to court for that. What is the best place to invest money? That is all up to opinion. Oh, that was close. I am not a I am not a financial advisor, but I would say the safest place to probably invest your money is to look into bank accounts that have a high yield savings account. There are banks that do have high yield savings accounts, and they will actually give you 3.5% of your money back. So you will just have your your money sitting in a bank account, just like regular account, but you'll get 3.5% of your money back just for it sitting there. So that's what I'll say about that. It's Yeah, there's CDs. CDs aren't, an investment. You give they're like for a half a year or a year. You give the bank money, and then the bank gives you like a percentage of the money back. Do you think it's good to invest in gold? I don't really know. I don't do gold. I know that gold increases in value over time, but I've never really touched gold, so I don't know. Have I watched Sons of Anarchy? No. I know the series, but I've never watched it. Nice suit, thank you. How much money did you make in your retail job in a year? Oh, not a lot. Um, the last year that I was working, I think I made a little bit over $12 an hour. It was not a lot. When I worked in retail, someone came in with a suspicious transaction. When we told him the $100 was fake, he tried to act surprised. Worst acting job. Huh. Yeah. Oh. Sometimes some people are innocent when they try to pay in counterfeit money. But you know what the best way to tell if someone is innocent or not if they're paying in counterfeit money? You know how to tell? If somebody has a fake bill included in multiple other bills. So if somebody is paying you, right? And because scammers that use counterfeit bills, they're just looking to get change. So if somebody is like paying you in multiple bills, and one of those bills turns out to be fake, chances are they're probably not a scammer. They probably just accidentally got like a counterfeit bill as like change or something like that. But if they are only paying you only in the counterfeit bill, like that's the only thing that they're using, then they're probably a scammer. Then that's it. I'm working at Walmart. Any advice of retail? Like I said, it's a thank you Jeremiah for the super chat. Walmart is a decent, or I shouldn't say Walmart. Retail is a decent place to have your first job, but only for like a year or two. It's not a place you want to stay long term. It helps you develop people skills, helps you learn multitasking, but it's not a job you want to build a career out of or stay in for years. And be ready to deal with rude customers, because it's just gonna happen. The most common counterfeit bill is a 5. The most common counterfeits I've seen are 20s when I used to work in retail, but yeah, but I didn't even know that 5s are the most common ones. Doesn't fake USD say only for entertainment purposes? Yes, but when we're talking counterfeits, we're not talking about like, money that people use as like props. We're talking about like actual counterfeit bills. Yeah, that is true, Demigod. A lot of workers won't look at the bills. Because no one checks the 5. Huh, that's actually smart. Did you hear they stopped producing pennies? Yes. I know about that. Hey, what do you think about the United Nations? I actually talked a bit about the United Nations on my Black Ops 2 part. I haven't uploaded it. It's going to be uploaded tomorrow, so processing still. But I did the Panama mission, and I talked about the United Nations a bit in that. But here's what I'll tell you guys. When the United States invaded Panama in 1989, the United Nations actually condemned the U.S. for that, and the United Nations basically said that it was like an imperialist invasion. That's what they described it as. And here's what I will tell you: I'm not a big supporter of interventionism. I'm pretty much a non-interventionist. But when it came to the Panama invasion, America was fully justified in attacking Panama. That was like one of the few invasions that America was like completely in the right to attack Panama. But basically, the reason that America attacked Panama in 1989, what you see in like Black Ops 2, was because Manuel Noriega, he was the dictator of Panama, and there was presidents in Panama, but they were basically puppets of Noriega. Noriega used to be the head of military intelligence. He became the dictator after the previous dictator died in a plane crash, which Noriega probably orchestrated. But he ends up, becoming the most powerful general in the country, becomes a dictator, and for years he was on the CIA's payroll. The CIA didn't really put him in power; he more put himself in power. But once he became in power, the CIA was working with him. And what happened is he would, give the CIA information, let the CIA set up like listening posts in Panama. But what happened is he actually double crossed the CIA and he double crossed the U.S. because what he would do is he was like a triple agent. So what he would do is the CIA would set up a listening post in Panama to like spy on Cuba, for example, and then he would just tell the Cubans that the CIA has a listening post in Panama, and he would take money from Cuba and America at the same time, so he's basically playing both sides. And then when the Cubans had something important that he knew about, he would just sell it to the CIA. So he was constantly playing everybody, and he would sell information to the Sandinistas, who were the socialist revolutionaries in Nicaragua. So Noriega was like an opportunist. He had no ideology. He wasn't like a communist or a nationalist. He didn't really have any ideology. He was just dictator and doing everything for personal profit. Now, in the late 1980s, what happened is he turned Panama into a narco state. So the Medellin cartel that was in Colombia, they would actually move drugs through Panama, and they would pay off Noriega for that. So they basically pay him to let them store drugs and move drugs through Panama. And what happened was those drugs were coming into America and like poisoning people. So the cocaine epidemic that happened in the 80s, a lot of that was coming in through Panama. There was Noriega that was doing that. And in 1988, a federal grand jury in Miami actually indicted Noriega for drug trafficking. And then what ended up happening is 1989, Noriega actually declared a state of war between the United States and Panama. So a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that America just declared war on Panama. Panama actually declared war on America first, before America declared war on Panama. But anyways, Noriega was an idiot, because America had 35,000 people in Panama, and they had a military bases inside Panama. So America could just invade Panama from the inside if it wanted to, and the guy was a complete idiot. But what finally caused America to invade Panama is on December 16, 1989, Noriega's PDF, the Panamanian Defense Forces, they were harassing Americans, because there was a lot of Americans that were living in Panama because they were in those military bases that were like right near the Panama Canal, and so like Americans would drive through Panama, do shopping in Panama, and then like go back to their military bases. And there was a bunch of American soldiers that were actually in a car, and they drove down a wrong road, and the road that they drove down was actually a PDF, Panamanian Defense Force checkpoint. And they didn't even go through the checkpoint, they just saw the checkpoint at like the end of the road, and they decided to like make a U-turn and start turning around. And what did the PDF do? The PDF opened fire on the car. They shot up the car. They killed one of the guys in the car, an American service member, Lieutenant Robert Paz was his name. They shot him in the head. They killed him. And then what happened was there was another American that was in the area, and he actually tried. The Panamanian Defense Force walked up to that car and started beating up the other Americans that were in the car. Another American lieutenant came by, tried to stop them. They beat him up, and then they beat up his wife. And at that point, 4 days later, the United States declared war on Panama and invaded Panama. And so what I will say is, like, Panama deserved it. Like, America was 100% justified in invading Panama. So, like, when people think of, like, stupid wars the United States was involved in, they think of, like, the Iraq War, for example. The Iraq War was a stupid war. But when it comes to the Panama invasion, that happened in Black Ops 2. That was a real thing. That actually did happen. America did invade Panama, and like I said, America was fully justified in invading Panama. 100%. So, like, no other country would have tolerated stuff like that. Like, it's stupid. Like, the moment that the Panamanian Defense Forces started targeting American citizens, they were finished. Like, they were done. And America, and the invasion of Panama was such a massive success because it was over in a month. In a month, they captured Noriega. They got rid of him, and the military collapsed. And the reason that the Panamanian military collapsed is, like I said, Noriega did not have any kind of ideology. He wasn't a nationalist. He wasn't a communist. The soldiers really had nothing to fight for. And so, like, they were like, why are we fighting for, like, this drug trafficking, dictator? So that's why, the military fell apart really quickly. but Noriega ended up getting extradited to the U.S. and then he later tried to sue Black Ops 2 for his portrayal in the game. But he was a massive scumbag. He was an opportunist. The reason that he was working with Menendez that you see in Black Ops 2 is because it shows you how opportunistic he was. He was always self-interested. Like he betrayed everybody. He would backstab everybody, do everything for personal profit. So that was so he was a massive scumbag. But yeah, but like I said, in 1 month, America invaded and defeated Panama in 1 month, and not only that, America left in a month. So America didn't stay there for years occupying the country. They left in a month. The president who actually won the elections, because Noriega rigged the elections, they put him in power. They stabilized Panama, and what America did was they gave Panama back to Panama Canal 10 years later. So like that invasion was not imperialist. There was nothing imperialist about America attacking Panama. Like I said, Panama caused this. Like, they started attacking American citizens, they were smuggling drugs into their country, and the United Nations, like, condemning America for invading Panama in 1989. The United Nations are a bunch of idiots. Because, like, how would the United Nations feel if their countries were being flooded by drugs from Panama, and, like, the Panamanian military was attacking their citizens? So, like I said, is that America was fully justified in attacking Panama, as Panama, pretty much had caused that whole thing. And Panama is a better place today, now without Noriega. So that's ultimately what I'll say about that. It's one of the American interventionism that was justified, because a lot of times there are stupid wars that America was involved in, like Vietnam and Iraq, for example, but like when it comes to the Panama invasion, America was fully justified in invading, because Panama had basically caused that. America didn't start that war, Panama did. Let me see here. Can you play Call of Duty Black Ops 2? Hurry up. I'm gonna have the next part of Black Ops 2 tomorrow, Early Flames. I just wasn't able to get it out today because I was a bit busy, but it's gonna be out tomorrow. Read previous comment. Thank you, Bork, for the super chat. Should Harman be canceled because his videos are unreliable and often present stupid choices, Patrick? I don't know about canceling. I'm not in the business of canceling people. That should just be up to the viewers whether they want to watch the guy or not. Do you think America was justified in joining World War I? No. If I was the president of America during World War I would not have entered World War I, because World War I was a stupid war. It was like, out of all the dumb wars that America has been involved in, World War I is definitely the stupidest war. World War I was basically like a power struggle between a bunch of greedy monarchies that were all fighting each other for their land and colonies. That's ultimately what it was. And something that I will never forget in 8th grade. In 8th grade, my teacher in 8th grade, he showed us a video, and you know what that video was that he showed us? I never forgot it. He showed us a video of a hockey match when he was teaching World War I. And in the hockey match, you see 2 players start fighting. They start fist fighting. And what happens? Both their teams just jump in and everybody starts throwing punches. So 2 hockey players start fighting, and their entire, teams then just jump in and start punching. And my teacher said to us, this is what World War I basically was. That's literally what he said. And you might find that ridiculous, but that's actually a pretty accurate depiction of what World War I was. It was just like that. It was like 2 idiots started fighting, and then basically everybody else joined in and started fighting. That ultimately is what it was. Treaty of Versailles, was it unfair? In a way, yeah. Thank you, Hey, for the super chat. The thing about the Treaty of Versailles is America actually did not want to punish Germany after World War I. America actually wanted Germany to be rebuilt after World War I, but it was France and Britain that really pushed for, like, France is the worst. They were the ones to really push to punish Germany, and then you see what the Treaty of Versailles did. It bankrupted Germany, and then it led to Hitler coming to power. Hitler was like 100 times worse than the Kaiser. So that's ultimately what the Treaty of Versailles caused, is it, caused another stupid war that ended up happening. Did you laugh a bit when he said that? Not really. I was a bit confused about it at the time, but it was a pretty accurate depiction. Oh, and, another thing is, another thing about World War I that people don't know about is that France and Britain actually tried to scam America during World War I. So what happened is, during World War I, France and Britain had, like, borrowed massive loans from America, and Britain and France were losing the war at that point in mid-1917 because Russia had actually just pulled out of the war, and they took all their troops, Germany took all their troops from the Eastern Front and put them on the Western Front, and Britain and France possibly could have lost that war. Now, what ends up happening is America enters the war because they were scared that Britain and France would lose, and then they wouldn't be able to pay off the loans, and then the American banks would collapse, and they would take the economy down with them. What ends up happening is Britain and France promise to pay back the loans if they win the war. So Britain and France then we help Britain and France win the war. The Allies win the war. Germany loses World War One. What happens then? During the 1920s, do you know what Britain and France did? They didn't want to pay the loans directly. So what they did was they charged Germany reparations for World War I with the Treaty of Versailles. So basically, and this is how stupid it was, France and Britain would charge Germany reparations for World War I in the 1920s. Germany would pay France and Britain those reparations, and then France and Britain would take those reparations from Germany and then use that to pay off American loans. That's basically what had happened. And Germany was getting pressured so badly by France and Britain that it basically, went bankrupt, and the whole thing collapsed. And then Germany's inflation went out of control. It was like 20,000 marks for a piece of bread. Their inflation was like the worst in the Weimar Republic, and they couldn't pay off the loans anymore. And then what happened was Britain and France had basically tried to guilt trip America. They tried to guilt trip America, and they told America that, why don't you just forgive the loans? We're allies, we're friends, we don't have to pay you back. And Herbert Hoover was the president at that time, and even though Herbert Hoover wasn't the best president when it came to handling the Depression, this was one of the things that he did right. And Herbert Hoover said no. He said over 100,000 Americans died for Europeans, and you guys are going to pay us back now. And so Hoover was right to basically say that to Britain and France. Say like, no, we entered the war to help you. You have to pay off your obligations. So Hoover was right for that. And he said that so many Americans died for you, and now you're not trying to pay off the loans. So that was it. It's like, Britain and France promised to pay off the loans if America entered the war, and then when Germany couldn't pay them to pay off American loans, they tried to guilt trip America, and they tried to basically get America to not pay, to ignore the loans. But America wasn't having it, and America basically made them pay all their money back. But that was the backstory on that. So World War I was just a stupid war that we could have completely avoided. When are you uploading the drug dealer game? I'm gonna play more of it. I am gonna play more of it. I have to. I'm probably gonna maybe later this week or next week, but I am gonna do the Mafia of the Old Country videos. The Mafia of the Old Country free ride this week coming up. Technically, it was Serbia who started World War I. It's debated. Some people think that Serbia had an active role in the Black Hand, but I don't think it's ever been fully proven that Serbia, did that. So Austria-Hungary, the two biggest, basically, Austria-Hungary and Russia, Austria-Hungary, Germany, and France were the ones who had the most responsibility for starting World War I. Britain kind of too, because they had a Cold War with Germany, but Britain didn't get involved until Germany attacked Belgium. But basically, Austria-Hungary invaded Serbia, and Germany had told Austria-Hungary, if you attack Serbia, we have your back. What ends up happening is Serbia had an alliance with Russia. Russia starts mobilizing their troops. Now, Nicholas was the cousin of Wilhelm, so the cousin of Germany. So the king of Germany and the king of Russia were cousins. And Wilhelm basically tells his cousin Nicholas, I don't want to fight you in a war. You don't have to mobilize. And Nicholas basically says to the Kaiser, I'm going to mobilize anyways. I'm going to do it. And so at that point, Germany gets pissed off and attacks Russia first. And that starts up the whole Eastern Front. And the reason that Russia was so aggressive in World War I was because they had a humiliating defeat to Japan in the Russo-Japanese War, and all of the European powers had basically made fun of Russia. Russia was a laughingstock after they lost to Japan, because that was the first time that a European power lost to an Asian power since the Mongolian conquests. Russia was humiliated by that, and that's why Russia was so eager to enter World War I, because they wanted to show that how strong Russia was, but that backfired really badly for them and caused their own revolution. But yeah, it's all a giant mess, and the reason that France was so aggressive with Germany is because France lost a territory called Alsace-Lorraine to Germany in the Franco-Prussian War that happened in 1870, when Napoleon III was exiled after he lost. So France wanted that land back from Germany, and they were extremely aggressive towards Germany. And France had an alliance with Russia, so when Russia got attacked, France declared war on Germany, and it's basically just all a giant mess. That's what World War I is. It's basically this idiot attacks this idiot, and then this idiot fights this idiot. That's ultimately what World War I is. It's like a giant chain reaction of just alliances just blowing up, and everybody's attacking each other. None of them tried to defuse the situation. None of them really tried to just prevent it from happening. It just all blew up in their faces. So that's what World War I was. It was just stupid. So like a bar fight? Exactly. It's just like a bar fight. It's just a bunch of idiots all just basically fighting each other. That's ultimately what World War I was. Can't let you take the man's wheels, son. That's from Terminator. I know that line. What, Bork? Harman defrauded the city of Oakland for running some scandal, and now he has millions of followers making millions of dollars. He got away with his crimes, and this pisses me off. How did he defraud Oakland? What happened exactly? Well, we don't know if Serbia was directly involved in assassinating Franz Duke Ferdinand. Some people think they were. It was a terrorist group that was Serbian, but we don't know if it was the Serbian government that directly did it. So that's the thing about World War I. But didn't Germany attack a U.S. ship in 1915 unprovoked? You are talking about the Lusitania. The Lusitania, that was a British ship, but it had over 100 American passengers on it. But the backstory about the Lusitania is the Lusitania, even though it was a civilian ship, actually violated international wartime law. What the Lusitania was doing is it was actually smuggling, weapons on it. So does anybody know the company called Remington? Remington, the American arms manufacturer. Remington actually had a contract with Britain where they were actually manufacturing artillery shells and also millions of bullets for the British military during World War I. And so what happened was the British actually smuggled artillery cannons on the Lusitania and millions of Remington rounds. So they were stored in the storage compartment in the Lusitania. So it was a civilian ship that was actually carrying weapons, and that actually violates international law, because you cannot have a civilian ship carrying weapons. You can't do that. Civilian ships are not allowed to be targeted in war, but they can't carry weapons either. And the Germans knew that the ship was carrying weapons. They knew it. And the Germans had basically tried to tell the American government that this ship was carrying weapons, but the American government wouldn't even listen to it. So that was basically the backstory. It's horrible that hundreds of people died on that ship when the ship got sunk by a German submarine. But ultimately, the people that are the majority of the blame are the British, who smuggled weapons on there, and Remington. So that's and the thing about that is, imagine if you're a passenger on that ship, right? And you're just told this is a civilian ship. It's a civilian ship. It's not a military ship. It's going to Britain. How would you feel if you found out later on that that ship was carrying weapons and it got attacked? Like, you were not told about that. Like, how would you feel if you were on that ship? So basically they put everybody's lives in danger on that by smuggling those weapons on that ship. It's a violation of wartime law. You can't do stuff like that. Is it hard to see out that mask? No, I can see perfectly. I saw your GTA Liberty City Stories anniversary playthrough. Loved your work, by the way. Thank you, dude. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Man, these NPC drivers. I don't even know what I just got shot by. Whoever puts civilians on a smuggler ship is at fault. Well, the thing, Chaz, is that the ship was a regular civilian ship. It was like the Lusitania. It was like I think it was a little bit bigger than the Titanic. So just think about the Titanic, like a ship just like that. That's what the Lusitania was. But the thing about that is, it was a civilian ship, but it was actually hiding weapons in the cargo, and that you can't do something like that. Like, that violates wartime law. So ultimately, it was it was the British and and Remington that were the majority at fault for that. And the thing is this might sound messed up to say, but put yourself in the perspective of Germany in those submarines during World War I, right? Is that if you are a German submarine crew, right, and you have a difficult decision to make, you see a civilian ship, and this civilian ship has civilians on it, but this ship is also carrying weapons on it illegally, and you either blow up the ship now, and hundreds of civilians die, or you let the ship go through, but then those weapons are basically used to kill hundreds of your soldiers. So, like, what do you do at that point? That's basically the hard thing about the Lusitania. So that's ultimately that. It's like, what do you do in that type of situation? Surprised they had submarines back then. Oh yeah, World War I there were submarines. They weren't as good as World War II, but they existed. Pro, how serious were charges against Vince McMahon in the steroids trial in 1994? And if he was convicted, how many years do you think he would have faced? I actually don't really know anything about that. I know that Vince McMahon was involved in some sexual, assault allegations that happened like recently, but I don't even know about the 1994 steroid scandal. I don't really know about that, David. I'm sorry. Do I play basketball? I used to when I was younger. Not really anymore, no. Do I think the atomic bombings of Japan were justified? I'm not gonna say that they were right or wrong. The only thing I'm gonna say about them is it ended the war faster. That's ultimately what I'll say about it. That if the United States had invaded Japan, more people would have actually died. A lot of people don't know that. Like the firebombing of Tokyo, for example, killed more than the atomic bombings. So if the U.S. had actually done a mainland invasion of Japan, millions of more people would have died. So I'm not saying that it was right or wrong. The only thing I'm telling you is that if the U.S. had not done that, that more people would have died in an invasion. What is your favorite era in history? Mine is the Renaissance. My favorite era is the French Revolution. Person was asking me about that. Did you know there was a person who survived both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings? Yes, I know about that. He took a train, and he survived both of the bombings. That's crazy. How bloody would a U.S. invasion of Japan have been? If here's the thing. If you guys think that Normandy was brutal, like the D-Day, the invasions of France, like that, if you think that was brutal, an invasion of Japan would have been the largest amphibious invasion in history, and it would have been 20 times worse than what you saw in Normandy. Way worse than that. Much, much, much worse. And the thing is, the reason that it would be way worse than Normandy is because even when the Americans took the beach, would take the beaches in Japan, if they pushed inland, they would probably get attacked by civilians. Like, civilians were being trained to use weapons. Like, the Japanese were even training children to actually use weapons. And they were telling civilians to sharpen bamboo sticks and charge at American soldiers. And so imagine the amount of civilians that would have just attacked the U.S., and the U.S. would have had to go through that. It would have been a nightmare. And if you don't believe me, go on Google and look up Japanese children on a machine gun, and there's actually a famous video that you can see of two Japanese girls that are being trained on how to use a light machine gun because the Japanese are expecting Americans to invade. So literally, they were training children to basically fight against the U.S. So I'm telling you, it would have been absolutely horrible. Let's see here. What did I missed the super chat. I'm sorry. Ticketed for 98 in a 55 today. Wait, what, Zach? You were ticketed for driving 95 in a 55 miles area? Do you think Christopher would eventually rat on Tony in The Sopranos? It's possible. A drug addict has a high probability of ratting. What do you think of Wisconsin and Michigan proposing to ban VPNs? This is the first time I'm hearing about it. That's stupid. I'm completely against that. Hey Pro, are you a Christian? I consider myself more of an agnostic. I lean more towards believing in God. than not believing in God. But my view is I'm more of an agnostic. So I lean more on the believing side, but yeah, I don't have all the answers. I don't like discussing religion anyways because it's such a divisive subject. Uh, Portuguese explorers descendants Roman barbarism. Wait, what? Thank you, Nin. Thank you for the super chat. What is an agnostic? An agnostic is somebody who's neutral in religion. So when it comes to religion, they don't have a religious view, but it's not the same thing as an atheist. An atheist is somebody who doesn't believe in God. An agnostic is basically just somebody, if you ask them about religion, they'll basically say, I don't know. Like, I don't have all the answers. That's ultimately their view. Since you're agnostic, do you know a lot about the Abraham faiths? Yes. I am familiar with Christianity, specifically Catholicism, and I'm also familiar with Islam a bit too, because my family is like all over the place with religion. Like I would say like 60% of my family is like Catholic, 30% of my family is Muslim, and I would say like 10% of my family are atheists. So like my family are all over the place. And then my aunt, she was Jewish, but then she's atheist now, so she doesn't even believe in God. So that's so literally all the religions are just all over the place in my family. Uh, Pro, what did you think of Nico being mad at Roman for lying to him about life in America? Where's luxury condo? Where's sports car? Where's Barbara? Uh, thank you, David. Uh, the, I I knew that was coming because I read the magazines talking about GTA 4 where Roman was gonna lie to Nico, so I knew about that. I knew that all of that was lies, but it was still really funny.
Okay, expect live.
Thank you, Zay, for the super chat. Hey, or membership. Hey, Patrick, as a Christian, do you believe in two genders? Yeah, male and female. I don't have anything against gay marriage. But yeah, there's two genders, male and female. I don't know what kind of question that is. I'm just confused by your question. Hey, professional, did you play on the basketball team when you were young? No. What do I think about California? Is it the most beautiful place ever? I was barely in California once. But that's about it. I entered California from Nevada for a little bit, but that's about it. Didn't fully explore the state. GTA 4 port still coming? I don't know. If we don't get it by Christmas, it's probably not coming out. Who? Can you invite me to the business, please? What is it here? I recently got a scam call and I trolled them. What did you say to them? What's wrong, Diamond? Can I get an invite to the location, please? Yeah, the police are so annoying. I don't want to get. I'm gonna, I'm gonna don't want to get involved in the politics. I stay away from that stuff. What DoorDash incident? What happened on TikTok? What? Still not even losing the cops here. Do I watch Family Guy? I used to when I was younger, but it's just uh yeah, no, I haven't really watched it. And when Family Guy was like in the late 90s and like early 2000s, that's when it was the best. It was like the most funny, but like now today it's not really funny anymore. It's not. I'm still getting help deliver the weapons to the drop off. I'm confused right now. Are we in the middle of a sale? What's going on here? Have you heard about what happened to Jack Doherty? Yeah, he got arrested. We're what? We're sailing. Oh, okay. Sorry. Didn't see that. What are your thoughts on Dylan Danis getting jumped by John Pork and what? What are you asking me about? Ask Wesker Studios. Thank you. UFC 322. What happened? What? Yeah, cell mission's finally done here.
Look,
I'm confused right now. What? He's just trolling. It's a bunch of brain rot. Oh, okay. Send me an invite to the MC, I guess. Then a controversial figure in the MMA community. Oh, thank you for telling me, Chaz. Pro, where Dwayne lives in GTA 4 is the Polo Grounds Towers. Did you ever visit the place, Pro? Are you familiar with the place? No. It's in northern Manhattan. Probably. That's I thought the place that Dwayne lived at was Harlem. I thought that was supposed to be Harlem, but I guess not. Pro, if you were to attend school at Hogwarts, which house would you choose to be in? Well, I actually took that test. You know that test that you can take to see what house you would be in. I took that test when Hogwarts Legacy was coming out, but I never ended up playing Hogwarts Legacy. But when I passed that, I took the test. I got Slytherin. That was the results that I got for what house I would be in. So it asked me a bunch of questions, and I got in Slytherin. And I think that the big misconception about Slytherin is people think that Slytherin is like an evil house, but while it does have like generally like some bad people in it, it's not necessarily the house doesn't represent evil. Slytherin is more associated with like people that like to work by themselves, not necessarily like a group, like more individualistic people. And the reason that I got chosen in Slytherin is because one of the questions that was asking me it was asking me like a question like, you see your classmate cheating on an exam, you know your classmate is cheating on an exam, like what do you do? And like it was like a bunch of questions, and the answer I chose is I don't do anything. So if I see somebody cheating, I don't do anything. And the reason that I chose that answer is because while I don't support cheating, the reason that I wouldn't do anything is because I think it's the teacher's responsibility. If somebody is cheating in a class, I think it's the teacher's responsibility to find out. It's not my responsibility to report that to the teacher. I think that's more the teacher's responsibility to find that stuff out. And I'm not the one that's gonna get into like all drama there and like report people and snitch on people. So that's ultimately my view on that. So if somebody's cheating, it's not up to me to tell on the person and tell the teacher this person is doing that. It's up to the teacher to ultimately figure that out. Okay, here we go. The thing is though, guys, I will tell you something that really something that really pissed me off. Uh, when I was in high school, right? In it was 11th grade. I think it was 11th grade when I was in high school. So I was in this one class called environmental. And do you know what happened in that class? The teacher would constantly like leave the class in the middle of exams and quizzes. And I hated when he did that. You know why I hated that? Because whenever the teacher would leave the class, you know what would happen? Guess what would happen? I'd have like 5 or 6 kids that would get up from their seats and they would literally go up to my desk and just look at my answers. Like, literally, that is what happened every single time there was a test in that class. Is like the half the class would just get up and they would walk across the room to my desk and then they would like hover over me. Like, they wouldn't like grab my paper or like touch my paper, but they would like stand right over me and just like look at my answers. And it just pissed me off. It did. And I never told on anybody. I never told the teacher that happened. So like that happened multiple times on multiple tests. I never told the teacher that was happening. But it did piss me off. It irritated me because people were constantly like looking at my answers. And you know the thing is I will tell you this is did I say anything to them? I said to them, yeah, I said, stop doing this BS. Like, I literally said that to them, stop doing this bullshit. Like, it's pissing me off. And they would constantly say the same thing, like, you know, we're all friends. Like, you know, you don't want to help us out, you want us to fail? Like, that's what they would say to me. Like, you want us to fail? Stuff like that. It's like, it's your responsibility whether you're failing or not. It's not up to me. And the thing is, if you have to look at my answers to pass the class, do you really pass the class? So that's ultimately what. But you know what I was honestly considering doing one day? One day I got so mad that these kids were constantly looking at my answers. You know what I actually considered doing one day? I was considering just choosing all the wrong answers on the test. Just writing all the wrong answers just so they would copy me and they would fail with me. Like, I was actually considering failing a test just so that they would all fail with me. Like, I was actually thinking about doing that. But the reason I didn't end up doing that is because I knew that if I did that, they would know that I sabotaged them and then they would all be pissed off at me afterwards and that wouldn't go well. So that's ultimately why I didn't do that. But I was really considering, like, literally choosing all the wrong answers just so I sabotage everybody with me. But that was, I didn't end up doing it because I knew it wouldn't go well at the end. Your grandmother invites you to tea, but you're surprised when she gives you a pistol and orders you to kill another resident. What do you do? That's the Fallout question. I know that one. That's from Fallout 4. But yeah, that is just a really weird question that they're getting. I remember there was a guy who got prank called with that, and he said to the soundboard, he said, that he would kill her instead. Oh, it was in Fallout 3, right. It was in Fallout 3 on the GOAT exam, and then it came back in Fallout 4. I remember, right, you're right. Fallout 3 is where it came in, yep, you're right. What holiday has the best electronic sales, Black Friday or Christmas? Probably Black Friday, but here's the thing is, guys, and this is what people don't know. The tags of items are actually changed. So a lot of Black Friday places, they will actually scam you. A lot of people don't know about this. As somebody who worked in retail, I'll tell you how this works. Uh, let's say that there is a TV, you know, for let's say that there's a TV for $1,000. Let's just make it simple, right? There's a new TV costs $1,000. What companies will do on Black Friday to scam you is they will raise the price, the standard price of that TV, from $1,000 to $1,200. And then what they will do is they'll make the TV $600, and then they'll write on the sale tag 50% off. And so is it 50% off right now of the current price? But is it really 50% off? Because if it was really 50% off, it would have been $500, the original price. So that's what people don't know, is that people don't know that companies will actually change the regular price, and they'll increase that, and then they'll make a discount off that increased price, and then you'll make it seem like, oh, I'm saving, like, I'm getting a bargain, I'm getting this so much stuff. So that companies will do that. I used to work in retail. I know how that stuff goes. So that's what companies will do. But I will tell you this. If you want to know whether you're getting scammed or not, the best way is, for example, shop online, like Amazon, and what you do is, if there's like an expensive TV that you want, right? Like, we have a week until Black Friday, right? So, if there's something that you want to get right now, right? Something you want to buy, Um, add that thing to your cart right now. Don't buy it. Just add it to your cart and take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of what the price is right now of that item, and then just wait until Black Friday. Wait until a week, and just see exactly what the price decrease is exactly on that. Like, see what the new standard price is. I'm not talking about the discount price. I'm saying the standard price, because chances are they probably raised the standard price and they're trying to make it seem like they're giving you a massive bargain, but in reality they're not. So that's what I would say about that. Do I own a VR headset? I own the PSVR 1, but I never played with it much. I played the Ace Combat VR 1, but I got sick playing it constantly. Pro, with Halo being released on PlayStation next year, is it over for Xbox, or do you think they will make a comeback? I feel like they have given up. I feel like that in a way too, but honestly, anybody can make a comeback if they just know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Anybody can make a comeback. Honestly, it's gonna take like a console or two, but they can make a comeback. Thank you, David. If I could have dinner with one person from history, who would you pick and why? Um, uh, it's a very difficult one. Well, to answer your question, I have to know one thing. Um, am I allowed to warn this person about bad things that are gonna happen or not? Or can I tell them about bad things that are gonna happen and to avoid bad things or not? Or is there like nothing that I can change? Because that's that ultimately how I answer that is depending on whether I can tell them, warn them about stuff, but I can't change history. If I can't change history, who would I? Why we lost a garbage truck? What happened? The Black Friday scam is actually illegal in the UK. Oh, that I didn't know.
So, I've received the
Um, who would I have dinner with? To think about that. I think I have the answer to your question. I think if I had to have dinner with one person, I think it'd be Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt is a very interesting guy, and especially an interesting guy to hang out with. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt is that guy that like anybody can hang out with and just have a fun experience. So we probably Teddy Roosevelt. What are you talking about, Cool Agent? What do I think about Gaddafi of Libya, the dictator of Libya? Uh, here's what I'll say about Gaddafi. Um, Gaddafi was not a good man. Gaddafi, for example, was responsible for a nightclub bombing in West Berlin in the 80s. He was also responsible for the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. It was a plane that went down from a bomb from a Libyan agent. Oh, everybody on the plane died. Anyways, about Gaddafi is so the point I'm getting at. Gaddafi was not a good person. What I will say about him is that Libya today is a far worse place. Like it is so like he was like a bad guy, but Libya today became a much worse disaster. With these new governments that they had because the thing is that the U.S. government should have never gotten involved in the Libyan civil war. They should have never gotten involved in that. They should have completely stayed out of that. Because I remember when and I remember when I was in high school. It was the end of high school when that was happening, when Gaddafi's government was collapsing, and the rebels were about to take over Tripoli, the capital of Libya. Now, at that time, the American president. I don't want to get into politics. But the American president, sent fighter jets into Libya, and those fighter jets had bombed the Libyan army, and this helped the rebels advance, and the rebels took Tripoli. They ended up capturing Gaddafi like a week later, and then they executed him. Now, the American president at the time, he was saying, we helped the Libyans fight for democracy. Libya is going to be a much better place. It is going to be a much, nicer place now. And what happened? After the Libyan civil war, one faction said, oh, we run things now. The other faction is like, no, we run things now. And what happened? They all started fighting each other. And Libya today, a decade after Gaddafi has died, is it a better place? No, it's a war zone. It's like Libya is literally absolute chaos. It has two governments. There's two governments in Libya. Like, there's two presidents. And, like, they don't recognize each other. And, like, one faction controls one part of the country, one faction controls another part of the country. And so it's a disaster. And what did America... what did America get as thanks for helping Libya? Did the Libyans, thank America for helping them? No, you know what happened? America got Benghazi. That's what America got. Is you had terrorists that basically came in and they attacked the Benghazi, consulate, and they, killed several soldiers. They killed the American ambassador. They dragged his body out in the streets. They mutilated his corpse, killed him. And honestly, after that whole thing happened, the United States government should have sanctioned Libya to hell. Like, Libya should have been absolutely sanctioned to hell for that Benghazi attack. And the United States government completely failed to defend that compound. It was just a disgrace. It just, what had happened. Like, all those guys that died, it was horrible. Like, the embassy attack in Modern Warfare 2019 is actually based on the Libya Benghazi attack. That's how brutal it was. Like, terrorists went to the embassy and they were executing people. It was just, like, an absolute disaster. And you know what the Libyan... that siege lasted for 13 hours. For 13 hours. And do you know what the Libyan government's position on that was? The Libyan government said, oh, we couldn't get our military in time to help the Americans. Are you kidding me? In your country, you're telling me that a 13-hour siege, and you could not get your military there in 13 hours to help the U.S.? Are you kidding me? Personally, I think that the Libyan government was complicit with that. I think the Libyan government were heavily involved in that. I think they knew about the attack, and I think they were part of it. That's what I think about that. I think the Libyan government let that terrorist attack happen. That's what I think. So, so ultimately, that's it. It's just Libya is just a complete disaster today. I'm not a fan of Gaddafi. I didn't like him. He was not a good guy. But Libya was stable under him. That's the one thing I'll say. It wasn't like this crazy, psychotic, war zone that it is now. And so that's ultimately what I'll say. Is the United States made a massive, mistake by getting involved in that war, and it just, backfired, badly. And Libya is like, a disaster today. It's such a terribly, ran country. I don't think you could even pay me, like, $1 billion to visit Libya. Like, that is, that. I would not even visit that country. And the thing is, that, what was it, in Libya, the new government of Libya, you know what they did? If you are gay in Libya, you get arrested. So literally, that's what the new government of Libya did. And I remember when the Libyan government walked out of the United Nations, Human Rights Council, because they didn't agree with that. And so, that honestly made the U.S. look really stupid. That, the U.S. kept saying, oh, Libya's going to be a prospering democracy now. Yeah, prospering democracy. It's a country controlled by a bunch of militias and terrorist organizations. That's what it is. It's not prosperous by any means. So it was a disaster. And I will say this is there are people out there. They say things like, for example, what should we have done? Should we have let the dictator win the war? Well, the thing is sometimes it's better to stay out. Sometimes it's honestly better to stay out of a situation and let things run its course. Sometimes it's better to just let things run its course, because if you get involved in a situation, sometimes the situation can actually turn much more uglier. And here's the thing is, if we didn't get involved in Libya and Libya still turned into a disaster, at least that wouldn't have been on us. We wouldn't have anything to do with that. But, we have a huge part in the disaster that Libya is today, so. What do you think is the most dangerous country to visit? Is it Iran or Haiti? What's your take? I would say it's Haiti. And the reason I would say it's Haiti is because Haiti is a uh, it's a country that's basically a mafia state. Not no offense to any of my Haitian viewers, but Haiti is essentially a mafia state. That's essentially what it is. It's a country that's controlled by a bunch of gangs. And it's really sad because Haiti has such a tragic history. It does. The country has such a sad history, being it got its resources stolen by France. France had a slavery colony there. Haiti fought for its independence and freedom, and it went through several dictatorships. And today, like the economy has collapsed, and it's controlled by a bunch of gangs and mafias that control it. And I will say this: Haiti is even more dangerous than North Korea. And the reason I would say that is because in North Korea, if you're an American, you should not visit because it's just Americans are already banned from the country anyways. But in North Korea, I know it's a psychotic dictatorship, but as long as you follow the tour guide and you don't walk off course, nothing's really gonna happen to you. But Haiti, on the other hand, anything could happen. Like you could just leave the airport and get jumped and killed by a gang. So that's ultimately what I'll say about that. The gang leader of Haiti, what? Is Algeria and Tunisia a dictatorship? Algeria is a dictatorship. Algeria is like controlled by like this one political party that has the majority of the seats. I don't know much about Tunisia. I know that Tunisia has had a bunch of revolutions, so I don't know that much more about Tunisia, but I know that Algeria is a dictatorship. Libya has open slave markets. Oh, I know about that. Yeah, it's yeah, it's honestly a disgrace what's happened to Libya. It's horrible. Today's the day JFK got assassinated. Oh, you're right. Okay, go. Yeah, 62 years ago. Yeah, there's a few Brazilian missions in Call of Duty. Gaddafi wasn't really any better. Sure, Gaddafi was a psycho. There's no doubt about it. He was a horrible man. But the only thing that I'm saying is that when Gaddafi was dictator of Libya, you didn't have these militias and these terrorists going around just mass murdering everyone. But now you do in Libya. So that's basically that's just the point that I was getting at. Is that the violence that happened in Libya, it was at a minimum under Gaddafi. So I'm not saying he was a good guy. He wasn't. He was evil. But like if you just compare Libya to when he ruled it to today it's a disaster. Good stream, thank you, Phoenix. Uh, the U.S. government ranks Yemen as the most dangerous country for U.S. nationals to work in due to the extreme risk of terrorism. What's your take? Well, that's because of the Houthis, the pirate terrorists that are in Yemen. Yeah, they those guys basically attack any kind of ship that they see, and you started your channel on my birthday. November 28th is your birthday. Uh, Max Payne 3 is the reason why I'll never visit Brazil. Next, I know I'm finding the AUC and a PMC militia that steals human organs. Well, the AUC are not Brazilian; they're Colombian. But Uh, but Brazil does have a massive violence problem. But it's safer than a country like Haiti, definitely. For example. Okay. Go here. And also, here's something else I'll tell you guys about Brazil that a lot of people don't know about when it comes to Brazil. Brazil has the most brutal police in the Western world. That people don't know that. So, like, when people think of police brutality in the West, what's the first thing they think of? America. America. Like, literally, whenever people think of police brutality, they always think of America. But here's what I'll tell you. In 2024, you know how many people the American police killed in 2024? Over 1,000 people. Can anyone here guess how many people the Brazilian police killed in that same year? American police killed 1,000 people. Anyone can guess how many people the Brazilian police killed in that same year? Yes, Menacing has the right answer. 6,000. So just think about that. American police killed 1,000 people in... American police killed 1,000 people in 2024. Brazilian police killed 6,000 people in that same year. So the Brazilian police killed 6 times more people than the United States police did. But here's the crazy thing. Brazil has 100 million less people than America. America has like 335 million people, and Brazil has actually 215 million people. So Brazil actually has 100 million less people, and they still have killed 6 times more people than the American police. So why does the Brazilian police kill so many people? The reason for that is because the Brazilian police is much more militarized than the American police, and they're much more brutal. So like people say, for example, oh, the American police is militarized, but they don't really know what a militarized police force is. If you see the Brazilian police, like regular cops in Brazil, they're dressed in like tactical gear. That's a militarized police, not like what you see in America. That's what people don't understand. And Max Payne 3 was parodying Ufe was Bope. So Ufe, the corrupt police in Max Payne 3, they are actually based on Bope. And Bope was a special forces police in Brazil that was notorious in a lot of corruption scandals. They were involved in the drug trade. They were involved in working with gangs in the favelas. And so that is that's what Ufe was ultimately a parody of. It was that. So when we're talking specifically Brazil, look, you know that one mission that you saw in Max Payne 3, right? You know the mission when Max is trying to escape from the favela, and Ufe do that crazy raid. You know when Ufe come into the favela in Max Payne 3, and they're like kicking in every single door, they're shooting people that are running down the street, you know, stuff like that. That mission is like ridiculous. They're coming with helicopters, just jumping out of it. But here's the crazy thing about that. That is real. That happens in Brazil. Like those police raids. And the thing is, that's not even a police raid. I would not even call that a police raid. You know what I would call that? I would call that an invasion. That is what that is. That's not a raid, it's an invasion. What that is. That's like hundreds of cops raiding like one neighborhood, going into every single, like, you know, kicking in every single door. Now, do you see stuff like that happen in America? I know the police in America aren't, they're not perfect, I know that. But do you see the police do stuff like that in America? Like, do the police invade the hood like that in America? Do they take like hundreds of armored cars and just storm the hood of like thousands of cops and like taking helicopters, rappel in, down, kicking every single door? You don't see stuff like that happen in America. The police in America, when they're going after somebody in the hood, they're gonna like, you know, go into that specific house that the warrant has. They're not gonna, you know, kick in every single door. But that's what they do in Brazil. Is the police will literally break into every single house in the neighborhood. They don't care if they don't have a warrant. They're gonna break into every single house. And so that's what I'll say. That there was actually a police raid that happened in Brazil like a month or two ago, and that police raid, the police killed over 100 people. Over 100 people in a police raid. That happened. It happened last month. Look it up. The police, they raided a favela in Brazil. They killed over 100 people. And yes, there's gangsters, sure. I know people are going to tell me there's gangsters, sure, that died in that. But there's also plenty of innocent people that died and stuff like that. And so I'm saying the American police are never going to do something like that. They're never going to, you know, invade the hood like that. Like, you know, just kick in every single door. They don't do stuff like that. So that's what I'll say is that people in America, when they say like, oh, the American police is brutal, the American police is like, corrupt, is evil, they don't understand that there are countries that the police are way worse than America. I'm not saying the American police are perfect. There's things we can improve on, but like a country like Brazil, for example, the police in Brazil are way more brutal than the police in like America is, and like because of all the there is unfortunately so much anti-American propaganda out there. And the reason that you think of the American police as being the most brutal in the West is primarily because of the anti-American propaganda, because there's just so much of it out there. And so because of that, you think of this stereotype that it's the American cop that is like the most brutal and evil and corrupt and stuff like that. But in reality, the most brutal police in the West would actually be in Brazil, not in America. I don't like cops, but the U.S. ones don't compare to those Brazilian cops. Yeah, and just think about it. UFE, those police in Max Payne 3, those are based on real police units in Brazil. Just think about that, like real corrupt police units. Was Kaiser Wilhelm II against sending Lenin to Russia during World War One? Yes and no. Kaiser Wilhelm supported sending Lenin to Russia because what happened is the Germans sent Lenin to Russia because and here's the thing is sending Lenin to Russia was actually a success for Germany because Russia put Lenin on a train, they armed him with guns, and they sent him into Russia to basically cause his communist revolution. And the Germans wanted Lenin to basically collapse the government in Russia and basically distract Russia from the Eastern Front, so that Russia would have to divert troops to fight Lenin, and it worked. And Lenin successfully knocked Russia out of the war. But here's the thing: the Germans were horrified by that because they expected Lenin to just be a distraction. They expected him to just basically cause a bunch of problems in Russia, but they never expected him to actually topple the government. And so when Lenin ended up executing the royal family in Russia because Nicholas was Wilhelm's cousin, he regretted that at that point. At that point, he did regret it. But he didn't regret it initially sending Lenin in. But it's when Lenin executed his cousin and killed him, that's the point when he regretted it. So thank you, Jesus, for the super chat. Yeah, and here's the thing about this is if you look at if you look at a country like, for example, like Mexico, like Mexico, I love the culture and I love the food in Mexico. Don't get me wrong, but Mexico has some of the most corrupt police in the world, and it's not just me saying it; it's a fact. Like Mexico has literally so many police officers that are just corrupt, and they're literally in league with the cartel. And that is, you compare that to like a country like America, for example. Are there corrupt police in America? Sure. There's no doubt about it. There's corrupt cops in America. But the difference between corruption in America and corruption in Mexico is different. In America, when you have corruption, you're going to have like one or two cops in a police department that are corrupt. But in Mexico, you're going to have entire police units, including the police chief, that are corrupt. Like, imagine a police chief and an entire police unit that is corrupt. Like, there's a video on YouTube that you can watch of El Mencho. And El Mencho, I don't know if he was caught yet, but he was like the most wanted man in Mexico. And he is like one of the biggest cartel bosses in Mexico. El Mencho has the cell phone of a Mexican police chief. And he calls up that Mexican police chief and he says to him, like, why are you guys raiding my drug labs? I already paid you guys off this month. Like, he's saying that to, like, the police chief and just threatening him. And the police chief is saying, I'm sorry, sir. We didn't know about that. We didn't know about the bribes. I'll have my guys stop raiding your drug labs. Like, the cop is apologizing to him. Like, imagine the police chief apologizing to a Mexican, cartel boss that basically just called you and threatened you. So that's what I'll say is that, like, corruption in a country like Mexico is just a whole nother level. What's going on with your microphone? What do you mean? Is there something wrong with my mic? So Germany and Russia killed millions of each other, but the Kaiser thinking that the Tsar was too far. Well, here's the backstory in that is that it was ultimately a war, and the Kaiser was going to basically do anything to knock Russia out of that war. That's ultimately what it was. He was going to do anything to knock the Kaiser out. I mean, that knocked Nicholas out. But he didn't expect, like, the communists in Russia to basically cause that much chaos as they did. The thing is, you shouldn't be looking at the worst examples, and you should be looking at the best and comparing things like population, economy, and culture. And I get that, But it's like I said, and I see your name has Brazil in it, so you're most likely from Brazil. But I'm looking at the statistics, and in your country, Brazil, has like 200, a little bit over 200 million people. My country has 330 million people, so my country has over 100 million more people. But yet, in my country, the police killed over 1,000 people in 1 year. In Brazil, they killed over 6,000 people. So how is it that Brazil has killed six times, the Brazilian police have killed six times more people, but yet they have 100 million less people? That to me shows that there is a problem with the Brazilian police right there. I know that there's probably criminals that they've killed in that 6,000. There's no doubt about that. But when I see like that they've killed six times more people, that tells me to me that there's a lot of police misconduct in that too. When there's a lot of situations that could have been handled way different than how they were handled. But that's it. Some police in Brazil, unfortunately, are shoot first and ask questions later, and that's so like I said, I'm not trying to attack your country, Brazil, but I'm just saying is that Brazil has like a massive problem with like police brutality and stuff like that. Uh, Pro, you're unreasonable right now. The cop would have been tortured if he said otherwise. You're being so unfair. What? Dude, that guy called up the police chief. He called up the police chief. A police chief is not supposed to be scared. Like, and if an American police chief got called up by a cartel boss, he would not be apologizing to him on the phone. That's not how they would respond. Um, what country do you want to see in the next Ghost Recon? Um, uh, Honestly, Afghanistan. I think that the next Ghost Recon game should be Afghanistan, and I think it should be taking down the Taliban. Like how you took down the cartel in Wildlands. It should be like taking down the Taliban, like all of their leadership, their different like organizations, and like until like you take them all down. That's what the story I think should be in Ghost Recon Wildlands. Do I think that Sudan could handle the ongoing civil war? I think that Sudan there's that one faction in Sudan. I don't remember which faction it is, but basically what's happening is Sudan actually has a lot of gold in their country, and one country that actually does not have a lot of gold in their country, like physically, but they actually own it, is the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. And so what the UAE are doing is they're working with that faction in Sudan, and that faction is basically bringing in gold to the United Arab Emirates, and the United Arab Emirates takes that gold and stores it to bring more value to their country, and in exchange they give those Sudanese soldiers weapons, and then they go and basically terrorize their country. So that's what I'll say about that, is that Sudan is being basically fueled by UAE gold. That civil war is being fueled by that primarily. Hey Pro, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say that a racist kid once threw you to the ground because you called him short? Yeah, that is true. That happened in seventh grade. That happened. It was like what 2007 when that happened, so that was a long time ago. But basically the backstory on this is there was this Irish kid that was just saying racist things to me constantly, and he was telling me that like Polish people are stupid and drunks and a bunch of this other other stuff. And it's kind of weird that he was calling Polish people drunks when that was actually the stereotype for the Irish, but he was making like a bunch of like just offensive comments about Polish people, just constantly saying that. And I got pissed. I was not having it that day. I didn't say anything offensive to him, but what I did say to him is I told him that he's really short and he's gonna stay short because he was short and I was like a bit taller than him. Now this kid could not handle this and got pissed, and then what ended up happening is when we were actually outside during recess, this kid actually comes up behind me and hits me from the back. So he didn't even hit me from the front, he hit me from the back and he knocked me down. And that's the only time I've ever been involved in like a physical fight. I've never actually ever been involved in that besides that. So he knocked me to the ground from the back, so he couldn't even do it from the front. I didn't even see him coming. Like I didn't even realize he was up behind me. Like I was just standing in recess and he came up behind me, knocked me to the ground. And what ended up happening is he got lunch aide that was outside, they saw that, so like they're like the assistant teacher during recess. They saw that. We ended up getting taken to the office, and he had to basically fill out a report. I had to fill out a report. It was just a whole bunch of like nonsense and stuff like that. Oh, I passed the drop. Let me go here. Black Ops 7, I'll definitely rage when I play through it, definitely. Why didn't you fight back if you were taller than him? Well, I'm not a violent person, and I was knocked to the ground, and before I could even react, the teacher actually got involved. So I didn't even, have a time to react. I was just knocked to the ground, and then the teacher saw that immediately and got involved, and that was basically about that. That's, the whole backstory on that.
What service are you looking for?
Unavailable
Give me
here.
a call back when simple decisions don't freak you out so much.
My school, I will tell you guys something. My middle school growing up, there was a lot more fighting in my middle school than there was in the Long Island school. So 6th and 7th grade, 6th and 7th grade, I went to a middle school in Queens. And then 8th grade, I went to a middle school in Long Island. So my 8th grade, my parents moved to Long Island. And I will tell you guys this. The Long Island school and the Queens school were so much different. So much different. But one thing I do remember is the Queens school had a lot more physical altercations. There was a lot more fight. Like, this wasn't like a school in the hood, so it wasn't like that. But it was like, it was a school that had a lot more physical, fights than the Long Island school did. And what happened is my Queens school, it had like this really stupid policy. And the really stupid policy, a lot of innocent kids got suspended for this policy. But basically what it was is if you got attacked and you fought back, you would get the exact same punishment as the person who attacked you. So that's a school that I was at in 6th and 7th grade. And so like if somebody like, if another kid like went up to you, right? And like just started punching you and you fought back against that kid, you just, fought back against him, you would get the exact same punishment as that kid who was actually attacking you. Do you guys think that that's a fair punishment? But that was, do you guys think that policy would work? But that is the policy that was in my middle school. And one of my best friends actually ended up getting suspended for that. So there was a kid who attacked him, he fought back, he got suspended, and that was how that policy ended up, going into effect. It did not work. Are Combines from Half-Life 2 a fascist group? I don't know. I haven't played Half-Life 2, but I know that that's the faction that you fight against in the game. Will I ever play SOCOM 3? Yes, it's on my list. It's springtime. Spring I plan to play it. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake was an ex-convict. He was a complete psycho in school. It was like Jake was a bully that was in middle school of me. He was like a complete psycho. When that kid pushed you, you should have got up and said, "That's my purse. I don't know you." Well, that's from King of the Hill. I remember King of the Hill was funny. Thank you, Feline King. Yeah, King of the Hill was funny. I remember that, and I think the purse episode is probably the funniest King of the Hill episode. That one was funny. Have I seen Cobra Kai? No. Isn't Cobra Kai the Lego TV show? Isn't that one it? Or no, that's not that one. It's the it's a karate TV show, right? I think so. Thank you, Arrow, for the super chat. Or I'm getting it wrong with something else. Do you think there should be a Ghost Recon game set in the Golden Triangle where you take down like drug and human trafficking organizations in Laos and Myanmar, also taking down their scam compounds? Well, yeah, Myanmar would actually be a good setting for another Ghost Recon game, like an open world game. I think it would be. Ninjago is the Lego show. Okay, yeah. Cobra Kai is the continuation of the Karate Kid movie franchise. By the way, it's uh Final Lullaby. I don't know why it uses two usernames for me. It's the new YouTube handle thing. It's changing. It's weird. Which Hitman World of this assassination mission is the hardest to do silent assassin suit only? Oh, that's easy. Colorado. Colorado is the hardest one to do, suit only. It's that Colorado is the most difficult one. When will the lore video for Lance Vance come out? I can't give you an exact date on that because there's a lot of projects I got to get to, but I will tell you this. It will come out sometime next year. So definitely before GTA 6. But I have a lore video coming out next Friday on Liberty City Stories. So we got another GTA lore video. So if you're looking forward to a GTA lore video, we'll have one on Liberty City Stories next Friday. Take as long as you need, thank you. Compton, that's in California, right? Thanks, Pat. No problem, Otto. Who needs help with a heist? Does anybody need help with a heist here? It's about Ned Burner. Yes, that's what the lore video is going to be about him specifically. Can you help me with the heist? Sure, invite me. I'm gonna help OG right now, Brendan, if that's okay here. Can you do a lore video on Gary Smith from Bully about his plans to take over the school? I always wondered if Jimmy ever actually needed to do anything to stop him, or if his plan was doomed to fail. I think he planned it all from the start. GTA 7 should be set in Chicago. Maybe. I'd like to see it Las Venturas, actually, Las Vegas. I'd like to see there. Thank you, Flames. But yeah, they could create a Chicago, city. Will you play Singularity next year? I already finished it yesterday. Yeah, I could look into it. What do you think about the new Steam machine? People keep asking me about that, but I don't know about that, really. I don't know much about it. Cobra Kai takes place in the same universe as the Karate Kid movies. Also, maybe before Thursday, you could do a Casino Heist help stream because of 2 times money. I don't know if I'll get to that, Blinded Eagle. I am gonna do a stream in this week coming up, and we'll do it on the Mafia of the Old Country, the free ride missions. Yeah, we didn't see San Fierro and Las Venturas in HD universe yet. You're right, Sultan. Okay. Okay, ready. Could you look into the prototype series as a birthday request? I know the prototype games. There's 2 of them, and I think in the, I think that in the second game you play, the first game you play as the villain. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong. It takes place in New York. I know that. I could play those games one day. I could do that. Always been in a dark place. I bumped into you on YouTube. Your videos always brought me a smile and took my mind off things. You're the reason I'm still alive. Please keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Jack. I'm glad I was able to help you out, dude. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks, man. Thank you, man. I hope everything's good with you, Jack. That means a lot. Thanks, dude. What do you think causes inflation? Spending too much money. Government printing and spending money. Possibly F-16, I don't know much about it.
You're earlier than expected. This gonna check your VI number? Chip delivery.
Who wants to reply? Who here? It's on. I'm sorry if I didn't see. It's on what? If I didn't see somebody's comment, I'm sorry. There's a lot of people that are posting.
I thought you were gonna get shot in the face for a second there. Okay, now get in the elevator and remember, inconspicuous. Next security check's coming up. You can do this.
Do you think there will ever be a World War II game that will have like missions like the Aleutian Island campaign? You mean the Alaska campaign in World War II? But I don't know. And then the Soviet invasion of Manchuria. Yeah, the Soviet invasion of Manchuria was a pretty big operation, but you never see it in games. You're right. Make sure you put your settings fidelity mode, because I keep forgetting that too. Yeah, because it's so you don't glitch out here. This heist was asking you to play the 2D GTA games. See, I could do them. Yeah. Yeah, I'll play Vice City Stories next year again. Have I played Ghost of Tsushima? Yes. I'm actually still playing Ghost of Yotei. I'm gonna have the ending of the game this week coming up. I haven't, put it all apart in like 2 weeks. I've just been busy with a bunch of stuff, but I will put it out.
Oh, you're here. Why didn't they
Skip this cutscene. I'm getting everything on the left. I think the glitch got fixed. I don't know. If we each get 3 carts, I think we'll be good. No, don't don't get the stuff in the middle. I guess you gotta get it now because you got it, but always get the stuff in the middle at the end. You never want to get that first. Get the stuff in the cages, and then get the stuff in the middle after, Oh, you... Okay, Here. Let's see if I can get 3 carts. See if I can do it. Here. Love you, professional. Can you say there's a GTA mission? There's a GTA mission here. Thank you, Jack. Would you say you relate to Brian Griffin and Family Guy? Not really, no. Some of the stuff I agreed with him when I was, with, like, the earlier episodes, but Brian can be a massive scumbag at times. Okay, I got one cart. Okay, here we go. Oh no. Okay, there we go. I gotta open this really quick. Okay, let's see if I can get both of these here. Get everything in the middle after that. Get A and get everything in the middle. That's go for that. Yeah, a lot of money, but I don't know how much we're gonna get of this stuff. I'll try my best to get as much of this stuff as I can get, but yeah, gold. I mean, diamonds just take so long to pick up. I mean, okay.
30 seconds.
I know it's floating. It's always been like that. It's a glitch.
20 seconds left. Don't dawdle.
The most evil character in Breaking Bad would probably be Todd, I would say, because there's no empathy, nothing whatsoever.
Gas incoming. 10 seconds. Time's up. Here comes the nerve agent. Get the hell out of there.
I recommend reading the prototype comics between playing the games. They explain Alex Mercer's change in protagonist to antagonist, since the sequel doesn't really do so.
Mother load. We cleaned him out.
I'm gonna play those. I know there's like isn't there like zombies also in the prototype games, but I will I'll play through them one day. Composite creativity. I know it's an open world game and I like open world games, so I'll play it. Considering Red Dead Redemption Mobile versus PS4 versus Switch 2 comparison, if you want to end up seeing it. Also, would you do a video on that stabbing I told you about in the 7-Eleven one? The 7-Eleven one, I'll do a video on. The other one, I gotta look into that one still. Also,
Seems too risky now that you're carrying the loot. Let's fall back to the rear door.
Y'all done in here? Hey, listen, that fella on the vault door, how'd he look? We snuck a double strength laxative in his coffee. He'll be shitting slurring in his britches by now.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Get in the cargo elevator and use your key card. Play it cool.
okay, we get out of here now.
Okay, I need you to stay calm. They've seen what you did to the vault, and now the whole place is locking down fast. They know you're still in the building. Just keep moving and keep quiet. Time to change your outfits. We need a fresh start if you're gonna make it out of here under the radar. They're closing in on us. We need to pick up the pace. Security is sweeping the whole building.
Think Michael will be in the next DLC? No, not in this one. It's Mr. Faber. That's the guy that. Is Jack the Ripper Polish? It's believed he was, yes. The closest suspect to it was like a Polish immigrant that lived in the UK during it. I forget the guy's name, but he had like severe mental problems. And he even like he was put in an insane asylum because he tried to stab his sister to death. And when he was put in an insane asylum, that it the killing supposedly stopped at that point. So yeah, it's believed that Jack the Ripper was from Poland. Yes.
Remember, they know the vault's been hit, but they don't know who you are or where you are. They have patrols sweeping the whole place, and all the civilians have
What do you think about the discrimination against Irish immigrants in the U.S. in the 1860s? It's stupid.
Stay out of their way, keep your cool, and get to the buyer. You should avoid the bulk of the cops this way.
Uh,
It's the
pe-
only thing that
People have been, ignorant and idiots throughout history. A lot of people don't know that. They don't know, like, the Irish, for example, suffered extreme discrimination. The Polish did as well. The Italians did. If you were any Catholic, if you were a Catholic, you suffered massive discrimination from the Protestants in America, too. No, I didn't get the chance, Brandon. I'm sorry. I've just been busy with a lot of stuff.
I think they're onto you. A real cop wouldn't be going away from the casino. All right, our decoy is online. The cops are confused as hell. Don't get seen near him, or the cops will figure out what we're doing. I've pinged your GPS with this tracker.
Yes, they were Assassin Wolf. Are you going for the helicopter? No, we're just, gonna try to get away this way.
Just got word from the decoy. We don't have long before they have to tap out. Make the most of it. All right, the decoy is out. You're on your own now.
Oh, come on. What just... How did we just get spotted? Most evil character in Mafia 3, Sant'Angelo. Yeah, probably him. That guy was just a creep. Remy Duval was also pretty bad too, yeah.
If the buyer hears so much as a siren, this whole thing goes up in smoke. Lose the cops.
Okay, gonna lose them here. Hi man, sorry for not playing. I didn't know you would stream on Saturday. I was doing Uber 8 hours. It's okay. I didn't really tell many people I was going to stream on... I told people on the Red Dead stream yesterday, but I didn't really make a post about it or anything like that. It's okay, Nikki. Thank you for the super chat. You don't have to apologize. I hope you had a lot of good customers and clients that night. How are your customers on Uber? Were they good? There we go, lost him.
I knew this would be sweet. Liberating large amounts of private equity from private equity. That's something even the IRS has trouble doing. But you strolled out of there.
Was I part of the GTA Online Alien Wars? Not really. I didn't really get involved much in that.
Oh, I've taken
Strategy games, it depends on the type. This game has a massive open world environment. Yes, it does, and hopefully with GTA 6, it you know, it's much better than this one. They're great. No crackheads. Thank God. Huh? That's good then. Will I be streaming tomorrow? No, unfortunately I won't. I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. But this next week, the streaming is finally going to go back to normal. Fridays, Red Dead, and Sundays, GTA. But in the middle of the week, I don't know what day, we'll do a Mafia of the Old Country, Mafia of the Old Country free ride stream. We'll do that. I'm retaking my driving test next Sunday. I hope it goes good for you, Gunner. The Dark Soul games, though, I thought I would rage through that. Enzo cosplay? No, I think I'll use one of the old Enzo cosplays. We should get a Ride to Hell Retribution stream. That is actually on my list to play. I will actually play that game. As bad as it was, I'll play through it, yeah. Who would you rather have as your consigliere? Frank Coletti, Leo Galante, or Silvio Dante? Leo. Leo's the most reliable. You would be upset if a drug addict sit in your car? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Ah, crap. Mute that. Copyright. Almost $500,000 for 15% cut. Yep. Double money is really good. I'm not gonna, do another one. I'm just really hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet, guys, so I'm gonna have dinner right now. Live streaming can get copyrighted? Yes, it can. But I think I probably will wrap up the stream here. The next stream I'll do a lot longer. Is there anything you guys want to ask me here before I go? If you enjoyed the stream, do subscribe to me if you're new. I do streams like this often, and I'll complete 2 heists, $100,000. Nice. If you enjoy the stream, do drop a like. It does help the channel out a lot. Pat Teresi, wait, what? Thanks for double stream, Pro. Always appreciate seeing you. Thank you, Zach. And again, guys, there won't be a GTA Online stream tomorrow because I want to go meet up with my friend tomorrow, and it did not work out that way because we were supposed to have Monday planned originally, but his job was just messing up his hours, and if you're hungry, have some Korean barbecue. Thank you, Chess. I guess I'll see what's in the fridge. Have you ever played Papers, Please? No, I know the game. It's Aristoska or Aristraka. I don't remember the name of the country. It's like a fictional communist country that the game takes place in. But I'm willing to you know, give the game a chance. You like Taco Bell? Yeah, I like all fast food in general. You get copyright claim for the end credits of Black Ops 2. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Minion Dave. I could, Shiny Knight. I'll play it on the new harder difficulty for Mafia of the Old Country. Did you know that Tian Zhao was voiced by the same guy who voiced Raymond in Sleeping Dogs? Omid Batahai, who voiced Farid, is actually Iranian American. I didn't know that. And I didn't know that the guy who voices Zhao voices Raymond in Sleeping Dogs. That I didn't know. Both of those games came out in the same year. Black Ops 2 2012 and and Sleeping Dogs 2012. Yeah, they both came out the same year. What superhero is my favorite? Maybe Batman. What country do you think was the strongest in 1939? Probably Nazi Germany in 1939. They had the strongest army in Europe and probably the world at that time. I think GTA 6 will be woke trash because of people with plants in their head in the UK at Rockstar North. What? Thank you, Chad Thomas, for the super chat. I think GTA 6 is going to be a fine game. Oh, he was recently rating Hitman clips, the guy who plays 47 really. I hope he could react to one of my videos one day, maybe. Do you think Teresi respected and appreciated Enzo? I think he appreciated Enzo's work for him, but he didn't fully respect him, no. What will you be eating? I don't know. Who would win, the Leone crime family or Versailles estate in GTA 3 universe? Well, if Tommy fought in Liberty City, he'd lose. But if Salvatore fought in Liberty City, in Vice City, he'd lose. So it depends on whose turf they're fighting on. Have I tried true crime games? No, I haven't, but I'll play them one day. But I guess I'll be going here, guys. If you guys enjoyed the stream and you're new, subscribe to me. But I guess I'll be heading out here. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend, guys.